Hey everyone, today I'm joined by Chicky Cecchetelli. He was an associate of the Genovese Crime Family. Chicky was the biggest bookmaker in Springfield, Massachusetts at one time. Today me and Chicky talk about the Genovese Crime Family and how they got in the area where he's from, Springfield, Massachusetts. Chicky gives his opinion on Sammy the Bull, Vito Genovese, Frank Costello, Roy DeMeo, Vinny Basciano, John Gotti Sr., and John Gotti Jr. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to get more interviews like this, and without further ado, let's get into Chicky's story. How you doing, Chicky?
Hey, Adrian, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, pretty good, man. I'm glad you came on and took some time to come on today, man.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, well, kind of give a background about who you are, just for the people that haven't seen you on my show before.
My name's Chicky Cecchetelli. I'm from Western Massachusetts, Springfield, Mass. It's a city in Massachusetts. We're smaller than Boston, but it's Boston's east, all the way east of Massachusetts, and Springfield's Western Mass, and then the Connecticut River. Probably about 15 minutes, 20 minutes from Hartford, Connecticut. An hour from Providence, Rhode Island. A couple hours from New York City. So we're kind of like in the middle of everything.
So, Chicky, how did the Genovese crime family end up in Springfield, Massachusetts?
Well, it's been here for a long time. I mean, history, probably since I'm going to say 30s and 40s. There's always a crew of the Genovese family in Western Massachusetts, Springfield. And I had heard a person I know, mother's a Genovese. That's her maiden name. And he's a legal person. He's not a street person. He's a very legal person. He's an attorney. And they're from right outside Springfield, like a farm community, South Hadley, Massachusetts. And they said back in the day, Vito Genovese used to come out there and visit his family in South Hadley, cousins,
Mm-hmm.
And so, he suggested maybe, that had something to do with them bringing a crew to Springfield, which, sounds plausible. But like I said, I don't know for sure, but it did make sense. And like I said, since the 30s and 40s, there was always a crew in Springfield, a Genovese crew. And like I said, this is public knowledge. It's not like I'm giving secrets away.
Right. Is the crew out there still active today in 2022?
No. I mean, it's just, there's some people floating around, but it's not active. There's guys locked up. Other guys were killed. I mean, it's just, no. Right today, no, absolutely not. But,
Okay.
Going back, 2000, 10, 11, 12, 13, they were around.
Right.
Especially prior to 2010. But now, like I said, between some of the older ones dying, some of the semi-older ones getting, Adolfo Bruno was killed. A couple of defections, people became informants for whatever reason, and kind of like died down.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, you brought up Vito Genovese, and
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of talk about him, because he was part of the Albert Anastasia hit, and they had all these people come together and from these different families, right? From your knowledge, I mean, who was all involved with it? And
To be honest with you, I only know what you can Google and everything. I mean, I don't have inside, by no means do I have inside information. I'd be lying, But from what I understand, Albert Anastasia was very feared. He was a feared guy. And you know what they do with feared guys? I mean,
Mhm.
look at what's the Gambino captain there with the Gemini Lounge, DeMeo, Roy DeMeo. I mean,
Yeah.
feared guys, they're feared, but they don't last long. When you're feared, sometimes that's not a good thing. When you got that fear, people got a little bit of fear, or they think you're crazy. You're not going to last long. You're going to end up getting killed, and that's what happens. We had a few guys around my area, same thing. They were feared, they end up disappearing, and New York's got a ton of stories like that. And so being feared isn't always a good thing.
No, it's not. I mean,
No,
there's no winning in this life. I mean, am I right?
no, 100%. And a lot of people won't do business with you. I mean, if you're a feared guy and you fly off the handle, people that would normally do business with, like, listen, there's politician guys, there's other guys that, like, the guy in my area, Bruno, was, I mean, he was a legend as far as being a politician, kind of gangster, where, he would convince he was going to help you, and you walk away from the meeting giving him money and think he's helped you. Well, meanwhile, he didn't help you at all. He just got money from you. But he had a way of talking and finessing that, like I said, he was very, very well known for making a ton of money. And, he could eat dinner with politicians, he could eat dinner with district attorneys, or he could eat dinner with gangsters. He was around very, very well-rounded person.
Yeah.
And that don't come often, where you can make money and still be feared and still have people love you. Them three things there are very, very hard to come all together,
Yeah, I mean, that's not something that everybody has. That's for damn sure.
No, no, absolutely not. I mean, John Gotti Sr. I mean, come on. People can say what they want. Absolutely. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. He was flamboyant and he dressed great. He didn't care who knew it. He was a gangster, and he didn't care if the press knew it, if the government knew it. And he knew at the end of the day, you got to give him credit, because he knew at the end of the day, listen, this is my life. I'm not embarrassed by it. And at the end of the day, I'm going to jail or I'm going to die. That's
Mhm.
it. There's no other way. So here's a guy who took life sentences and went to the gate. He went where, he went to the gate. He ends up getting cancer and 12 years in solitary confinement. And, like I said, and you got to give the guy credit. I mean, it is what it is. And he did his thing. And like I said, the Chin was a little different. The Chin did his thing for 20 years, pretending, that he was, not playing with a full deck, which it worked for 20 years. So give him credit too. You got to, his game plan worked for 20 years. And, putting Tony Solano out there like Tony was the boss, which he was never the boss. He was a figurehead, but, Chin was calling the shots. So, I mean, he was very smart, very respected, very smart, um, old school. I mean, the Chin,
Yeah, I mean,
and
he had a very long reign too as boss.
absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely,
when he was out there, I mean, he just really figured out a way to kind of fake insanity,
absolutely.
and when he was younger, he was involved with the hit on who was it?
I think he was the gunman in the Costello.
Costello,
Wasn't
yeah,
he?
Frank
Yeah,
Costello. Yeah, Frank
yeah, he was
Costello, that's what it
he was the
was.
gunman. So I mean that I mean, you do something of that caliber. That's got. I mean, he was skyrocketed right there. He was in the eyes of some serious people. You do something like that,
Yeah,
and you know,
and
say what
and
you want about Costello, but look at him. He lived and he kept his mouth shut, and he just kind of went into the sunset quietly.
yeah,
Which there's a perfect example. Guy just
yeah,
kept his mouth shut and he went on with his life and just got away or whatever.
yeah, and when I read about that too, it was like, that he Vito Genovese wanted to, take over as, boss, and
Right.
what happened was, he, got help from the Genovese crime family, and they had what was it again? Shit, I'm always losing my train of thought. They had Vincent the Chin go out there and do it, and before he shot him, he said, "Hey, this is for you, Frank," and then
Yeah.
boom, he shot his head or shot his hat, and just
Well,
kind of
he was
grazed him.
yeah, and Chin was the driver for Vito Genovese. He was his kind of, what do you want to call it, bodyguard? I don't know if you want to call it that, but he was his driver. That's
Right.
where it all started.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how they formed that relationship, and then after that, Frank went, they had to go to court and everything, and when Vincent, went in there, and then Frank went in there, and they asked him, who did it, and can you point out who it is or something like that, and he just kind of said, I don't know who did it. I don't have
Right,
an enemy in the world, and then
right. That's listen. They don't make the old school guys like that no more. I mean, come on, you're talking. I mean, them guys there, Carlo Gambino, you know, Vito Genovese, Vincent the Chin, John Gotti. Okay, yeah, he was flashy, but still, they don't make guys like that no more. I mean, it was a different era. Nowadays, 2022, you got to have your head examined. Every traffic pole, there's a camera. Everybody
right,
got cell phones. It's funny because the people today are not even, they're using their cell phones like guns. Like the old days, they used to carry guns. Now people carry cell phones.
they can
If you
record and shit.
record, you fight, record. Go on,
Yeah,
you go on YouTube, you go on this social media. Everybody's got their phone out. A
yeah,
fight starts, boom, it's been recorded by 30
record.
people.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
yeah,
And I was gonna say, with even to add on to the the Vincent the Chin, even at the end of the the court session or whatever, he went up and shook Frank's hand and said, "Thanks, Frank," and they walked
Yeah,
away,
yeah.
and there was the end of that.
Well,
And like,
Frank knew that was his time to part, retire, and just go into the
right.
sunset. He
And
knew
he
it.
did. Yeah, and he did.
Yeah,
And you said something that was pretty funny too, is that in 2022 you got to have your head examined, if you want to join this life. And for everyone watching, Chicky is going to be on the documentary that I've been working on about the American Mafia. He's going to be, it's a series, so he's going to be in the Genovese Crime Family and a little bit in the Bonanno as well. But
yeah.
he talked about, because in the intro I got him talking about, you know, it's like a visual. It shows someone getting their head examined, because at the beginning that's what you say, Chicky, and
Yeah, it's the
it's a
truth. I mean, come on, whoever, I mean, listen, the street guys today, there are still in New York, obviously, but they're very smart. They're insulated. You ain't getting near them. They're already millionaires, a lot of them. They're not doing nothing violent, right? And the few idiots out there that are doing violence ain't gonna last long. They'll be taken off the street very quick. The FBI, they don't play that. And that's just the way it is. I mean, you can't operate organized crime, uh, unions and all that stuff. Yeah, you're always going to have that, but you can't operate organized crime without violence. I mean, street stuff. And excuse me, and then the government's killing you because they're legalizing gambling. So there goes all your bookmakers. New York, you can go legal. What do you got to fight with a bookmaker for? You can go legal. You
yeah.
know,
Hmm.
Massachusetts, my state, is only the one of the only states in the country that still has not legalized gambling.
Wow.
And believe it or not, in 2005, excuse me, I'm coming down from a cold. In 2005, I was the last case. My lawyer will tell you, I was the last case in Western New England that I was tried, convicted, and went to a United States penitentiary, Canaan, in Weimar, Pennsylvania, for straight bookmaking, no violence,
Damn.
straight bookmaking. I was the last case in our area
So that
to
was
to go to
17
jail,
years
to a
ago.
federal prison. Yep. So unless there's violence, you're not very much really going to jail. I mean, yeah, there's tax evasion and there's this or that, or white collar, but for organized crime stuff, unless you have violence, it's very hard to go to jail. And my lawyer, matter of fact, he came up in court. I was the last case, 2005. I left to jail 2006. That you know, that was just a straight bookmaking case, sports gambling, running a multi-million dollar. Well, this is what I pled guilty to. Like I'm, building myself up. But they had me booking $3 million a month. That's what I pled guilty to. That's what they accepted. And
Yeah.
like I said, when there's no violence, you're going to do peanut bids. You're not going to
Right.
do. You're not going to do big time with no violence. The violence is what gives you those years.
Yeah. How did they I mean, from your knowledge, what is, some of how they got over, how they took over unions, what did that look like? I never really.
To be honest with you, I never was into that kind of stuff. Like I said, that was above my pay grade. I was just I ran a sports office for Adolfo Bruno from excuse me, 1989 to when he was murdered in 2003, and then I continued on a couple years after that with another guy that took over for him.
Right.
So 1989 to 2005 was my run, and then I went to federal prison, and then I got out, and it was just different. A lot of things changed. A lot of people were dead. A lot of people flipped, became informants. So I said, you know what? Let me raise my kids. I'm all set,
Right.
because I knew it was only. And then as technology got better and better, I mean, the feds don't even have to follow you no more. All they got to do is track your cell phone. They know where you are, who you're talking to. I mean, it's so easy for them. And then with social media, people don't understand, and especially like these gang members and all this. They go on social media. They look at Facebook. They look at Instagram. They look at Twitter. They look at all these crazy TikTok. And the guys are out there, who they're hanging around with, who they're eating dinner with, what restaurants they're at, what crimes they're committing. Some of the gangbangers are showing their guns. It's like
Yeah.
the feds don't even have to leave their office no more. They just go
No.
on who they're investigating in social media, and they find out everything.
Yeah, and I mean that's very true. I mean, it just makes it so much easier for them, and I'm sure, back then, with the whole mafia stuff, years and years ago, I mean,
Right.
I mean, you look at these guys, you think they're legit. I mean, from the outsider, looking in,
Yeah.
you think they're legit business guys, like
Yeah.
Carlo Gambino or someone like that. It's
Right,
just an old man. What's he doing? What could
right.
he
No,
possibly
right.
be doing?
But the
And
feds knew. Don't let no one fool you. You got guys today that'll say, well, they were very low key. Carlo Gambino, he wore his button up shirt buttoned up to the top. And listen, they knew as much about Carlo Gambino back then as they knew about John Gotti Sr. They knew the same thing. It didn't matter what you dressed like. Was Carlo Gambino more laid back? And absolutely, was he? I don't know, maybe smarter. I don't want to say smarter, but it was a different era. But they knew as much about Carlo Gambino as they did John Gotti. That's a fact. They know what's going on. You're not gonna your picture's up on that wall. They know who you are, what position you hold. They know all of that. But
right.
like I
Who-
said, with John Gotti, he was a Al Capone of his era, and
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, you can't. And like I said, you know, Sammy the Bull. I mean, everybody knows him. He's got a really popular podcast. But here's a guy, and let's just be honest with each other. He killed 19 people. He's a serial killer. 19 people, and he's back on the street. He's walking around. Yeah, okay, he's doing podcasting, but 19 people dead. I mean, there's people that killed one person and they're doing life in prison, death penalty cases. So it's very, very, like I said, to get John Gotti, they would have forgave essentially Hitler. They would have forgave Hitler to get John Gotti, and I don't think that's fair. I think that's a problem. I really do.
Yeah, it's just such a weird, weird, weird time. I don't even know. I mean, it's been going on for a while, but it's just such a weird thing, in return for who they really want and who they want to take down, they'll at any cost, they'll make a deal.
Absolutely. I mean, you know that. Come on, it's just like, especially with all this YouTube stuff, and I won't get into too much, but there's the mob genre YouTube. Uh, you got the informants, having their own shows, and they're battling in the comment sections, in the live chats with other people, and it's crazy. I mean, 20 years ago, I mean, in your wildest dreams, would you ever thought this craziness would be happening? I mean, and they're high level. Some of these people were high level informants, and they're like texting, threatening you, and the government knows what's going on, and they allow it to happen. I mean, it's almost like the
Mhm.
government wants something to happen physically, like somebody snap and see one of these people, or they see you, and something happens physically, and then they're going to do something. I
Right.
mean, come on, the last year on YouTube under the mob genre, it's crazy what's going on. It's absolute. I ain't gonna lie to you, Adrian. I got caught up in it, and I pulled back because it really it makes you it lowers your worth. It lowers. I mean,
Mhm.
you're on the air fighting with these people that it's definitely not something I wanted to be caught
Yeah.
up in. And I did get caught up in it, and I pulled back, and I said, you know what? Shame on me for getting caught up in it. But everybody
Yeah.
goes through it.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, too. I'm glad you got out of it, because it's a headache and drama and all that too. But whenever anyone, comments on mine or anything, I'll just tell them, thanks for watching. I don't,
That
I
you're
mean,
better off. Don't fight with them. You're not going to win. And
yeah,
then
no,
if they really want to get you, they have other content creators go after you, and they go after your family, your kids. I mean, it's like bizarre.
it's
I
sick.
really, it's bizarro world. It's
Mhm.
like I told you when we were talking privately. It's like Alice in Wonderland. Coffee pot sings, uh, the clock looks at you. I mean, it's like bizarro world. You're like, are you kidding me? Is this really happening?
Yeah.
And it is. So I got, like I said, not just me, several friends I have around me. We got great things going. I got a movie coming out. It's called The Featherweight. It was Pep, the Willie Pep story out of Hartford, the professional boxer. And like I said, the book will be out in spring, which I think it's going to be great. So I
Let's
got a
talk.
lot of positive
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I want to talk about your book.
Yeah.
You talk about it, like, and I'm sure you can't give out everything about it yet, can you?
No, I mean it's we got the title. I don't want to say the title right now, but it's a very catchy title, really cool title. I think it's going to be great. I got a great woman helping me write it. That knows more how to write the book aspect, what to do,
Right.
the spelling corrections, and you need that. Unless you
Yeah.
get a high end author, which they want to. It's just crazy what they charge you as far as what they want percentages and everything. So I think it'll be a good look at the New England, especially my area, the Western Mass Genovese faction of organized crime. which, like I said, I was part of from, I knew Bruno since I was a kid, used to come in for my job, and, he knew people I knew, and I looked up. I mean, it was crazy back in the day because like people have posters on their wall of like, Mickey Mantle, maybe a football team, maybe a rock star. We had pictures in our, since I was a kid, we had pictures on my wall. My mother and father thought I was nuts. I have John Gotti Sr. and Vincent Gigante and my local. I mean, it was crazy. And I would have like, I mean, this is how when you're brought up around this, people think, oh, you're crazy, but you don't know any better. You think this is normal. I used to have the charts in my room. Who was the top guy? Who were the captains? Who were the soldiers? I think I did it before the FBI did it. Just put it up in my walls. And it would be funny because as we became teenagers, 17, 16, 18, we were going into all these mob guys' bars in my area. They owned all the strip joints, the bars. We were kids. They didn't card us. Oh, that's Chicky. Let him in. Oh, that's so-and-so. Let him in. We used to go out with 20 guys at a time in these bars, and they'd let us in. And of course, back then, the punks we were, we would start fights. We thought we could take on the world. Nobody was going to bother with us. And we got arrested for assault and battery, dangerous weapons, baseball bats, club. I mean, we got arrested several times, and it was crazy because I'd come home from jail, like, I'd a couple of nights in jail or overnight in jail. My mother, we get bail money. We get bailed out. I'd come back to my room, and I'd go in my room, and every single poster and paper I had put up on the walls were ripped down because my parents weren't into that. My father worked hard his whole life, 45 years as a shop supervisor. My mother, 45 years as a crossing guard. She used to cross the kids to school,
Right.
wear the orange vest. Very normal middle class home. I lived in a tough area, Springfield. It's called Hungry Hill, East Springfield. A mixture of Italians and Irish. Irish kids are tough kids. I mean, I'm the prison system. Guys from South Boston, Southeast, tough kids. I mean, bank robbery, armored car, heist capital of the world, Charlestown, Mass. So Massachusetts got, they call it in prison, it's called a car. They got a big car. Each person, each different people from cities got cars. They call them cars. They stick together. And telling you, the Irish crews and the Italian guys from New England they got a lot of power in the jails. In the
Yeah.
federal prison system. They really do.
It's kind of weird that, you bring this all up, it's like, it's kind of like you always had it in you, or that you always kind of aspired to, kind of join the life, but you had no, like, not a lot of, influence around you like that with your mom and your dad, and, complete
No, I was
opposite people.
crazy. No, my uncles were all hard. They all came from the Bronx. My whole family's from the Bronx. My father's side. Um, my father had 9 brothers and 4 sisters, all in the Bronx. They lived in a 5-story walk-up, an apartment. They played
Right.
every day on the rooftops. They didn't play in the street, the rooftops. They
Damn.
used to jump from building to building, throw the football. I even had
Jeez.
one of my father's cousins tried to jump from building to building. He missed. They went, 5 stories down and died. So,
Damn.
they played on the rooftops. They used to call them I believe they're Black Tar Beach. That's what they used to call them because it was like 200 degrees up there because of black tar roofs. They
Jeez.
have picked. My aunt Louise has pictures. I got to get some and put them in the book. But of my father with my grandmother and all the kids playing up on the roof, and then
That'd be
some
good.
people like crazy. You think they're in a park, and they're on
Yeah.
a roof. But it was a different era back then. You're talking Arthur Avenue in the Bronx,
Right.
and about 7 of my uncles came over together to New England to open up a slew of auto bodies because that was their business, auto body. They did auto body, and the Bronx was saturated with auto bodies. So they said, "Listen, we're not, we can't open 7 auto bodies in the Bronx."
Mm-hmm.
So they all picked up and moved. A couple of my uncles stayed in the Bronx, and all my aunts came, and they all came over to Western Mass, Massachusetts, and opened up their businesses, which some of them are still open 50 years, So
Yeah.
and none of them were organized crime related. So it's
Yeah.
just crazy, because I grew up around a lot of my friends' grandfathers were bosses of organized crime. My friends' fathers were bosses. So I just grew up. It just happened to be who I hung around with and seen things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you went to the military, you came out,
Yeah, I
and
went to
then
the military right out of high school because, like I said, I didn't know if I wanted to jump on the streets, go to college. I had no idea. So I joined the Navy as a 17 and a half year old kid. And boom, I was off to Great Lakes, Illinois, outside Chicago, to the boot camp. And I did very well in boot camp. I did very well in A school, and I got to pick my duty station. You know, there was like the top three guys got to pick three duty stations, top three high scores. Excuse me, coming down from a cold. But anyways, yeah. So I picked three duty stations, and one of them was Honolulu, Pearl Harbor, and I got it. So here's an 18 and a half year old kid telling a 17 and a half, 18-year-old girlfriend, hey, you know, I'm going to Honolulu for 4 years, you know. So needless to say, that didn't work out too good.
Yeah.
But it was another world. I was 18 years old. I traveled the world. I mean, I went on two Westpacks. That's in the Indian Ocean for 3 months at a time. I seen uh, Honolulu was a beautiful place. I seen Guam. I seen Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, Japan, Korea, China. The Philippines, Longapo City in Philippines, Bangkok. Come on, an 18, 19-year-old kid who sees that? So
Right.
looking back, I was blessed. At the
Yeah.
time, it was driving me crazy because I was all over the place, but I was blessed. Looking back now, to see that for an 18, 19-year-old kid, my father was a Marine.
Hmm.
So, I said to him, Dad, I'm thinking about the military. He goes, well, before you join the military, what do you want to do? I said, I want to travel. I've never been nowhere. He's like, you got to go in the Navy. He says, if you go anywhere else, you're going to be stationed in one place 4 years, and I'll be the end of it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
my dad was in the Navy too. He went
oh,
and did,
good.
yeah, so he was in there for a few years, and
Yeah,
he told me the same thing. You got to travel the world and see all kinds of different places,
it's
and
unbelievable. We used to pull in ports like, 30 days, boom, we're in another port, 2 weeks, another port. I mean, you're talking about in a 3 month time. I've seen, probably 5, 6, 7, 8 countries. It's
yeah,
crazy. It was crazy.
yeah,
We're in the water sailing from port to port.
yeah. So when you came out, you got involved with like being a bar owner, right? For the
Well, not
you,
at right in the beginning. And in the beginning, we got out, and I knew Bruno good, and Bruno was coming around. But when I first got out, Bruno was locked up. He was in prison, federal prison.
mhm,
And then when he got out of federal prison, we opened up myself, Bruno, and two other friends at the time opened up like a bar restaurant. I was probably like maybe 21. We opened up a bar restaurant and a venue like where rock and roll bands play. Back then it was that freestyle music, the clubhouse. We used to
mhm,
have the people come from New York, Johnny O, all these freestyle people come and play our venue. And it would be a big beach scene and bar and pizza, and it was a great time. But we were kids. We didn't take it serious. Bruno gave us $1 million joint in our lap, but none of us wanted to work. We were worried about chasing girls, having the girls play volleyball in their bikini. We were all over the place. We were nuts.
damn,
And it didn't last too long, a couple of years, and that was the end of that. But if we would have done it with the right head and we were a little older, it would have been $1 million joint. But
yeah,
that was neither here or there. So then after that, um, Bruno's guys, Adolfo Bruno, Al Bruno, his guys took a series of pinches, and they needed guys to essentially take over the sports, younger guys, because it was all older 60, 70-year-old guys. And the younger guys, I was one of the first that he asked me to, go in the office and run the office for him. And like I said, I did it from 1989 for him, 1989, 90, all the way till he died in 2003. And then I did it 2 years after that, 2005. And then I left for prison in 2006. That was that. Yeah. So, yeah,
yeah,
I ran it for a long time for him.
yeah. And now you're on to bigger and better positive things,
Bigger
So
and better. Yeah. Like I said, I'm blessed. I, uh, I became friendly with John Gotti Jr.
yeah,
And, I mean, guy's a positive guy. To get out at the level he got out at, beat 5 trials in 3 years, over $8 million in legal bills. And I mean, he fought cases that were lights out, death penalty, life in prison, and he beat the cases legitimately. He fought
yeah.
the cases in court and beat them. And
Wow.
a lot of the informants that are out on the internet are the ones that testified against them, and they were not great witnesses, and he beat the case. And that's the bottom line. And now, after that, he went home. He's got 6 kids. He's doing the right thing. He's opened up businesses, and he's in, like I said, the movie business, production business. He's got Wiseguy Mafia coming out. I mean, I know it's taken a long time, but that's coming out. It's going to be huge. and he's given my friends opportunities. A couple of my friends shot down to Miami to film Wiseguy Mafia, one of the first episodes, and I couldn't go because I couldn't leave the state for a legal case. I couldn't leave the state of Massachusetts, but there's other things coming up, and like I said, we got the movie Pep. James Matteo plays Willie Pep the boxer. The production company that runs it is Appian Way, which is Leonardo DiCaprio's production company. So he's involved. Great actors. I was going to be a extra, and me and my friend Brian Hoyo did 18 years for extortion. Kids, another guy that was around the life. He's done now. And we went down there. Somebody called us, said, Chicky, come down. You and Brett, whatever, come down and try out. We came down. We were just going to be like an extra. Next thing you know, we got a talking role in the movie. So we physically got a talking role that's in the movie. We got the people sent us the text saying, listen, you guys are in the movie. And I told the guy, James Matteo, who's a star. He played in Basketball Diaries. He played in Hook. He played in The Offer on Paramount about the making of The Godfather. Really, really good actor. He played in Band of Brothers. He was in the whole series Band of Brothers. He's one of the top guys. And, I texted him. I said, hey, thank you for the opportunity. He goes, no, Chicky, I got the text. He's like, no, thank you for bringing authenticity to it. So, I mean, that was a big boost for me. I'm like, geez, wow, this guy's telling me thank you. I'm thanking him. So we got some great things coming up. And
that's awesome.
Like I said, other than me getting tied up with this crazy YouTube shit, excuse my language, and getting caught up in a couple stupid things for a few months, I pulled back. I said, this is just crazy. We all started off on YouTube to have fun and get into a community and laugh and meet people. But boy, that mob genre, it went in a whole nother direction. I mean, it's just the things they're doing on there. It's really, really disgusting, in my opinion. But that's neither here or there. You're not involved with that. I always told you stay out of that. Do your interviews and just stay away from all that craziness.
That's the best thing we can do. I mean, it can be a interesting genre if we let it, but if other people want to do that, drama and all that shit, let them. I mean, that's their shit. And I just stay away from it. You know what I mean? And if they try to involve me, I just said thanks for watching.
Yeah, and like I said, the main message is not about organized crime's cool or this or that. And like I said, I was never at a level like these captains and these main guys. I mean, I was around them guys and I knew how to act around them and I was partners with them and things and businesses and ran businesses for them. And I just did my bookmaking thing. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I mean, if my friends needed me, we go and do what we had to do. I mean, I was no guy that was going to say, I'm just a bookmaker. No, I don't do that. I mean, you could ask. I mean, they know. But that's not the point. The point I'm trying to say is everybody has a side that maybe they did some wrong things in their life, no matter what it was. It don't have to be organized crime. It could have been anything. And the message I'm saying now is you can change. You can go on. You can get rid of the negative people in your life. And I'll be honest with you, I still root for the bank robber to get away. I'm not going to lie to you. I watch movies and I hope they get away. And I don't want to see nobody go to jail. But what I'm saying to you is the message I got now, as a father, as a grandfather, is that you can change. You can change your mind to thinking differently. And you don't have to go out as an informant, or you don't have to go out as getting killed, or you don't have to go to jail for the rest of your life. You can pull back and go on and do something positive with your life. And that's my message now. You can do that. And like I said, I mean, before, like in the John Gotti era, they knew. But they were another level, but they knew. I'm either going to jail for life or I could get killed. Them are the two options at the end of the day. And, I mean, come on, here's a guy 12 years that's out there confinement, dies of cancer. But I'm just saying. Then you got other guys that are in prison still to this day that I was in jail with. Let me bring up his name, Vinny Basciano, Vinny Gorgeous. Allegedly the one-time boss of the Bonanno family, Joe Mazzina, the boss before him, put him in jail, set him up on the roof of MCC Manhattan in New York. Right. But here's a guy who was with him for like a month and a half. And I'm telling you, he was facing 2 death penalty cases with no bail. He was in since 2004. I was with him June 2006 in MCC Manhattan. He woke up every morning with a smile, every day with a smile, and every night he went to bed with a smile. Here's a guy that to this day I see him on the internet. They got pictures of him with his visiting room at different jails. He still's got a smile. If you see him, You would think he's in the Bahamas, dark tan, big smiley face. Here's a guy that went, took 2 death penalty cases, went to jail for life. That's a real guy. I mean, you know, it's just it's a whole nother uh, guy. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't make them like that no more. Some, yeah, here and there, but they don't make men like that no more. That can take life sentences and smile every day, and they knew that way. Hey, this is how it's got to end. I chose this life. This is how it's got to end.
Yeah.
So that guy,
Yeah.
I'm just giving him as an example. There's a lot of guys in jail like him that are
Right.
just as real as him, but
Do
I
you
just
ever
know him from being with him.
get to talk to him anymore or have any
No,
contact?
no, no. I talk to his sons. He's got 4 or 5 boys, and I talk to him through social media. Say, please send my love to your dad. And it's a couple of times. Say, Chicky, oh, I had mentioned you. He said he remembers. He was laughing. And I was with another guy too, same time as Vinny, a guy named Alex Rudai.
Yeah.
And he was allegedly they were going to call them the Sixth Family. It was the Albanians out of the Bronx.
Hmm.
Another good guy was in there waiting to go do like 30 years in prison. He had just got guilty June 2006. He had just came down. They just came down with a guilty verdict between him and 9 or 10 of his crew, and they were all going to jail for a long time. And here's another guy. He has little kids running around. He's got a young wife, and he goes in there. Any one of them guys could have flipped. Vinny could have flipped. Alex could have flipped. Any of them Albanian, and they didn't. They held strong, and it's like the average Joe Schmo working guy, family guy, they don't realize how, they're like, well, it's just, listen, a guy who chooses that life and then gets that kind of sentence and just doesn't roll, and stays strong to who he is, that's an honorable guy. And I know people think I'm nuts by saying that, but that's an honorable guy. There's no ways around it. That's honorable.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I can see what you're saying. I know what you mean. Like,
yeah, I mean,
because
you're
you,
taking them away from your kids, their families, their wives, but to have an
right.
opportunity to walk away from prison and go with your family, and you stay in prison for life because you have a code you won't break. I mean, some people might say it's stupid. Some people, I don't understand it. You're not going to understand it. There's some guys that took that code and that whatever you want to call it, and
That's
they went to the end. They lived it to the end.
right. That's what they chose, and
Well,
that's what
and
they stuck with.
if you're not comfortable choosing that, then just get out of doing what you're doing, because everybody's a gangster when they're making money. But then when you get sentenced, the real gangsters go to jail.
Hmm.
The phonies do what they do and they don't go to jail. So that's the only thing I'm saying. And like I said, I could have kept going on doing crazy things, and I would have been maybe doing 10, 20 years, and whatever, I would have had to do it. But
You
with the
pulled
writing
out.
on the wall that I saw, I said, you know what, I'd rather pull back and, let me raise my 2 daughters. Thank God they're married now to great guys. I got 2 little grandchildren, and
Yeah.
that's the most important thing in my life now. So I'm just doing the right thing, like I said, and I can walk around with my head held high, and that's good enough for me. And my kids can walk around with their head held high. They can go anywhere they want, and you know, they ask
Yes.
people, kiss them, how's your father? They talk good about me. That's more to me than anything. So
Right.
that's where we're at.
So your overall message is, to the people
You
that
can
maybe,
change. You can,
yeah,
no
you
matter what you
can.
did in your life, whether it's drug dealing, I don't care what you did, maybe drinking, drugs, no matter what the obstacle is, you can change. You can change and do things good and do things better. And you can do that. Don't wait until you're facing 50 years in prison and then say, I want to change. Well, it's too late. Now you're going away for 50 years, or you're going to do other things that you're not going to be too happy looking in the mirror at night. So I'm just saying you can change and you can pull back. And there are guys out there that have done it in the right way, and they've done it. They don't care what people think. They want to be there for their family. And like I said, uh, that's pretty much the message I'm giving. And like I said, there was a lot of people a lot higher than me and a lot of people that did a lot more time than me. But, you know, in
There's,
2022, and I already said it twice and I'll say it again. If anyone's, when people are listening to this, if you have cousins or kids or your father, whoever, and they're doing illegal things, in 2022, you got to have your head examined to do anything illegal. Because, listen, you're not beating the cameras. Every poll, there's a camera. Something happens in your neighborhood. First
mhm.
thing the cops do is go to the cameras that are by your street.
Or
Who
your
pulled out of
neighbors.
your street? All your neighbors. Everybody's got a ring cam. They cost
Mm-hmm.
$20
Yep.
at Home Depot. You know, the one you put on your
Yep.
front door.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So probably out of 10 houses in my neighborhood, about 8 of them have that ring cam.
Right.
So let's be honest, everyone knows
No,
that.
yeah,
Right?
you're right.
In everybody's neighborhood, you could be like you, Nebraska, same thing. They got them
Yeah,
everywhere.
and you're right about what you say. I mean, you say it like it sounds like a joke, but it's true. I mean, if you're doing the crime in 2022, I mean, there's something more
Yeah.
to it. You might might need your head examined.
Come on, go on internet. You go on internet right now and you can see they got these funny videos. They ain't even funny, but it is kind of funny when these guys, the UPS or Amazon brings packages to somebody's house,
And someone
and
goes up and
some
steal it.
neighborhoods they try to steal it, but they
Yeah,
got them on camera
I
and
know.
they see who it is. Oh, that's Joe from down the street. That son of a b,
Yeah.
and they gets arrested or gets beat up. And I got a couple of videos where the guys get shot,
Yeah.
with these not bullets, but these rubber bullets, and they're on the lawn screaming, and the guy goes, "I knew you were robbing me," and he's talking to them through that ring cam. And you don't even have to be home. You can be in China, and when somebody comes up to your door, it rings your phone, and you're watching,
Yep.
and you can talk. What are you doing? You're in China. You're in Bahamas. Don't
Yeah.
matter.
Get the hell
So
off my lawn.
exactly. So,
Cops are coming.
yeah. So
Yeah.
don't wait till you get yourself involved in something where you got to do 20 years of prison
Yeah.
in
Well,
2022 because you're not getting away. Look at all
yeah.
these. Another thing. Look at all these professional rappers. I mean, these African American rappers. They're killing each other in their own neighborhoods. I mean, you know how many in the last 4 or 5 years? How many rappers have been killed? I
A
mean,
lot.
they're killing their own people because these guys are going back to their own neighborhoods and opening businesses to help the economy, help their neighborhoods, and their Nipsey Hussle. I mean, you could keep naming them, naming them, naming them. They're just killing them. They're killing their own people. It's crazy. It's just. I told you, it's bizarro world.
Yeah.
We're in with the little blonde girl. What I said? Remember
Alice in Wonderland.
that's what we're in a bizarro world.
I
It's like
know.
things you would say would never happen are happening.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I mean,
It
it's
is
just
unfortunate. It is
yeah,
unfortunate.
and like you said, the whole social media thing makes it easier for people to find where your location is. Like, say if you're like a celebrity and someone wants to take you out, oh well, he's at the fucking chicken coop or whatever the hell they
Yeah,
want to call it.
100%. Or even you got a beautiful house and you're in your house filming a video of beautiful stuff in your house, and then by mistake you're going out to the garage and they catch the number of your house or
Yep.
what street you're on. They're
Yep.
coming to rob you. Certain people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and people just don't get it. They're showing their beautiful Christmas tree with all 30, 40 beautiful Christmas Louis Vuitton bags.
Yeah.
Listen, don't be careful because somebody might come.
No.
And that's why, I think everybody should have legally, not unlegally, but I think everybody should legally have a firearm in their house. And I believe you should have your wife, your kids, if they're old enough, you should take a course on how to shoot it because it's very important to have something there. Obviously not unlocked or something where a kid can get it because we all know the tragedies with the kids having the guns, but
Mm-hmm.
something where if something goes wrong, they can maybe go in a closet, open up on the top shelf or a key, and they have something. Because
Yeah.
in this day and age, I mean, with the drug epidemic, I mean, these people on drugs don't care. They'll break in houses. They'll come after kids, women. They need drug money. I mean, you see. it. Another thing you see on social media, they're violent, very violent with this with this fentanyl epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
My God, I mean, it's killing so many people.
I
It's
know.
such a sad affair.
Yeah. I don't want to touch none of that shit. There's
No, you can't. You can't.
no. Well, Chicky, I appreciate you coming on, man, and
No,
taking
thank
out
you
some
for
time,
having
man.
me. Thank you for having me. And like I said, uh, Adrian, you'll build your show. You're very unfortunately you're underestimated. Like I said, you're a great interviewer. You got good people around you. Just do that. Worry about your family. And again, thank you to your audience and thank you to the people that watch us for listening. And like I said, at the end of the day, just do positive things. 2022, the craziness is over. And
Mm-hmm.
don't wait till you're facing 20 years in prison. Just do the right thing.
Yeah, and be on the lookout for Chicky's book, and
Yeah, I'll come
you get.
back on when it's out. It's going to be great. And like I said, the movie is called The Featherweight. It's the
Mm-hmm.
Willie Pep movie. It's a professional boxer, 229 wins,
Damn.
229 professional wins. He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Up Basketball Hall of Fame. That's Springfield, where I'm from. The basketball. the Boxing Hall of Fame. I'm sorry.
Right.
But the
Yeah.
Basketball Hall of Fame is in Springfield. Springfield College invented basketball, Dr. Naismith.
Yeah.
But people don't know that either, but that's my city. So, yeah. So, again, yeah, got some good stuff coming out, and I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, Chicky. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Well, what'd everyone think? Chicky's got one hell of a story, and he's got some really good points. I hope I answered a question that some of you guys were wondering as well. How the Genovese crime family got to Springfield, Massachusetts. It makes sense the way that Chicky explained it. Please comment any key takeaways that you got from this interview. Please share it with someone that you think will enjoy it. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want more interviews like this. If you want to support me and my clothing brand, I got t-shirts, hoodies, beanies, and sweats, all on my website. I'll be sure to put that in the video description below. If you want to keep up with Chicky and what he's got going on, I'll put his Instagram account in the video description below. At the end of this interview, you'll see a Mafia playlist pop up of all my other Mafia related interviews. I've interviewed people that were associates of the Mafia, made men, capos, and on the other side of the coin, the law enforcement, the guys that took down the Mafia. I've also interviewed lots of Mafia historians, people that have written books about the Mafia, and people that were related to the Mafia. And the last thing that I'll bring up is my Mafia documentary series that I've been working on. This documentary series includes 11 episodes. Each episode is about a different crime family. Chicky's going to be a part of 2 of them. He'll be a part of the Genovese Crime Family and the Bonanno Crime Family. In this documentary series, I'm joined by mob experts, mob historians, law enforcement, and lots of guys that were involved in the Mafia life. Please watch this trailer to get a better understanding on what my documentary series is going to be about. And again, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. This life is very twisted. You never know when it's your time to go. One day you're putting in work with someone, and the next day they're taking you out.
In our days, it was very quiet. You know, nobody ever talked about this. You know, nobody glamorized it. It was all like hush hush.
Not a glamorous life. And again, it's not what you see in Goodfellas. It's not what you see in Casino. Some days you were dead broke. Some days you had $2,000 in your pocket. It wasn't every day. You know, you don't know anything else. You don't know what it is to go wake up 6 o'clock and go to work. Work? What the fuck is that? I wasn't going to work.
Even bosses get murdered in this life.
There was younger guys underneath him, and he wasn't doing the right thing, I guess. He was coming out of the card game, and unfortunately, a lone gunman came up and shot him 5 times.
People who knew me would tell you I like to use the bat a lot. If I had to shoot you, I'd shoot you too. I've done that.
This life requires many mixed personalities. You have to wear many hats in this life to try and survive.
You become 4 or 5 different people all at once. And you got to go home and be a dad and a husband. You got to go to work and do your job. You got to be out in the street and be a gangster.
The Bonanno family is called the Bonanno family because of my grandfather, Joe Bonanno.
That life there is done. Today you have to be legitimate today.
But you got to be an idiot to want to be a hooligan today. Jail time's now like 100 years for doing nothing.
Yeah, you'll be dead, in prison for life, or in the witness protection program.
I don't know anybody. Now, when the Mafia turned their back on me, I know everybody.
There was the big flip of the Gambino underboss, Sammy the Bull Gravano.
Here he is, signing autographs in a restaurant on Mulberry Street. And was supposed to be a secret organization.
He was a very, very, very violent guy. No question about it.
Albert Anastasia, he was a Brooklyn guy. He was probably the biggest killer in the history of the mob.
Michael Franzese, his father, Sonny, was a really tough guy. But he really raised his son right.
If you want to see a gangster, that's Sonny Franzese. And John Sr. don't compliment anybody.
This is a documentary series about the American Mafia. It includes 11 different crime families. Each episode is about a different one. The crime families include the Gambino, Genovese, Bonanno, Colombo, Lucchese, the Gallo Crew, Chicago Outfit, the Philadelphia Mafia, the Patriarca, the Trafficante crime family, and the Jewish Mafia. Please subscribe to my channel to watch each episode as they come out.